Hey everyone, Doug MPA back with another video. I saw this story and I had to do a video on it. A little story time. So, my father is a physician and my mother's an occupational therapist. She's a medical provider too, but my dad was big time medical doctor, right? And he's 66 now. So he's kind of old school. And I always remember a conversation he had with my brother and I when we were 13, 14, 15 years old. My dad told me one time, he said, you and your brother, you're going to grow up to be men, and you're going to have to play what my dad calls the man's game. The man's game is you turn 16, you get a job, and you work until you're dead. All you can do is get an education, get a trade, get your money up, get your confidence up to be able to put yourself in a position to be able to provide for a woman that you marry or kids and a family if you so choose to have. My dad's 66, so that was the goal of men back then. But that conversation has always stuck with me because he's right. Men, a lot of us, that's our journey in life. We produce and we work until we're dead. That's it. And society doesn't really care. All they want you to do is produce. I saw this story in STEM because a lot of STEM jobs are made for the man's journey. Work 60, 80, 100 hours, produce, innovate, stay at work in some pressure cooker, work in a job you don't like. Women get into STEM jobs with completely different priorities than men. They want job satisfaction. I have to be happy at work. I don't like long hours. They just don't value the same things in a work environment as men, especially after a child comes. And that's exactly what this article is about. Yes, it's on CNN grown, but we're just going to go with it. So let's get into it. We cheer on women in the sciences, but recruiting and retaining them is still a different story. I'm going to skip past the first part because they talk about some 29-year-old scientists that helped produce some image of some black hole. Yay, woohoo! Great time for modern women. Shuri and Black Panther. Oh, this article came out in 2019, by the way, but I think it's still pertinent. Representation. Yay, Shuri's and Black Panther. Hidden Figures. Woohoo! Yeah, anyway. Let's get to the meat of the article here. A large number of women leave STEM fields never to return. A recent study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences reveals a discouraging connection between parenthood and attrition in STEM fields. By analyzing data from science industry surveys, researchers discovered that 43% of women left full-time STEM employment after their first child, either to pursue a career in another field or leave the workforce entirely. Now let's think about that for a second. These are women going to medical school, getting their PhDs in chemistry, biology, nursing, computer science, programming. 43% leave the field to go to a different industry or don't return to work at all. How do you think that's affecting the current job market? And these women, if these women were men, they would remember after a pregnancy occurs and after a child is born, men work more hours, women work less. Women are putting themselves in a position where they have a job where if a man was there, the guy would produce more, but they leave. It's crazy. An assistant professor of sociology at the University of Michigan and author of the study said the numbers reveal a problem specific to the STEM fields. Are you guys ready? Let's go. This points to this being an issue about STEM employment specifically and not full employment in general. Yes, of course. If it was an issue of people not being able to manage new parenthood and working full time, we wouldn't see this kind of attrition, which is true. There's a cultural expectation in STEM that if you have responsibilities outside of your full time work, you aren't as committed a scientist. That's how it's always been. And that's not going to change. Scientists all around the world, not just in the West, have this stigma. But scientists in the West, particularly women in science, think that this is going to change. How are you going to be able to keep up with scientists and STEM companies in other parts of the world if they change this? Next part of the article says, hype is good, but practical solutions are needed to overcome biases. However, motherhood is just one lens through which the paucity of women in STEM fields is examined, and casting women as just mothers or potential mothers does not. There's more to weigh down the problem to solve it. For instance, the study points out that women in general leave the STEM workforce at a higher rate than men, regardless of whether they are parents and regardless of measurable performance levels or abilities. That's a pretty difficult nut to crack. No, it's not. Women like people. Men like things. Men will focus on one object or one task for their entire lives, or one subject their entire lives. I always like to see the difference between, look at YouTube. Famous video game streamers will stream one game for 24, 48, 60, 70 hours. One game. How many women do you see on Twitch doing that? Not a lot. And then the article says that means the problem is more. That's a pretty difficult nut to crack, and it may take more than the occasional female celebrity scientist to reverse it. Some organizations like the Math Science Foundation and NASA have tried to actively recruit and retain more women, but abundant research shows the gap in both representation and pay persists. In fact, in the field of computer science, there are actually less women represented than there were in the 1980s. Once again, it's the duties and the mindset that come along with these jobs. I had a friend that got a graduate degree in programming from Clemson. He did that job for 4 years and he had to leave. He's like, hey, try sitting there programming all day, every day for 4 years. He said it was some of the worst years of his life. And me, I'm not in STEM. I'm a man and I don't want to do a lot of this stuff. So the fact that they think that more women are going to do this literally makes me laugh. And then, of course, they have to throw in the emotional appeal. There is an idea that there is a particular way scientific genius manifests, and often that does not look like a woman. Yeah, get out of here. They suggest that STEM companies create an easier path for people to re-enter full-time STEM positions after a period of absence or part-time work. It can also include, yes, more support for women and men with children. Look, I'll never understand this mindset, okay? There are all sorts of other fields. Look, the field of law, corporate America is trying to, they're putting egg freezing and IVF into women's insurance plans to stave off them having children, because they know that women's mindsets flip when they have children. All job fields know this, but they're just putting this on STEM. Once again, there's a tried and true adage: men like things, women like people. And there's only a lot of these women that go into STEM and they stare down the barrel of doing the monotonous aspect of their STEM job where they make a lot of money for the rest of their lives. And they're like, no, I don't want to do this. I want to get a new job that's more friendly to my work environment, to my kids, all that stuff. Once again, when a pregnancy occurs, when a baby is born, men work more hours. Our goal is money and status. Even if we have a droning, dead-end, I wouldn't say dead-end, but monotonous job. Women want the exact opposite, and this is proof of that. Like, subscribe, tell me what you think. I think this is common sense. You have any ideas about anything in this article? Does this shock you? Probably not if you're watching this channel. This is Doug MPA. I'll catch you guys on the next one.